Hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and of course, I am joined by a man whose favorite Thanksgiving dessert is a loose meat pie. His name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, why is that odd?
You like it? A little whipped cream on that?
Yeah, you get some loose meats.
Yeah.
You throw a nice crust on it, some cream, whatever.
I'm coming over to your house for Thanksgiving because that sounds delicious.
I don't just use one either. I use all the loose meats. Just think of them.
We make like
all of them. Black Forest ham.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Roast beef. There's honey ham.
You got a corned beef in there?
Yeah, all of them.
It sounds like a pie caking of loose meats. I'm way into that.
Pretty much.
I like that a lot.
You top it with cheese or applesauce.
I'm hungry now. Let's get the show done and get into some of this pie. So we're not here to just talk about pies. We're also here to talk about movies.
Yeah.
The first movie we have on the marquee this week, sir, is a movie that you're going to talk about.
Oh, wow, cool.
Surprise. What do you have?
Well, it's one of our first holiday movies that is coming out. It's not really almost Christmas. It's still in the middle of November, but the movie we are talking about is Almost Christmas, directed by David E. Talbert. We have Danny Glover. He plays Walter, and unfortunately his wife died this year. And this is going to be the first Christmas where the kids are going to come over, and he's pretty much in charge instead of his wife. The whole family is extremely successful. Danny Glover, he owns like 5 car lots. He has 4 children. Cheryl, who is a doctor, is also married to an ex-pro NBA star.
He played in Serbia, too.
Yeah. We have Rachel, who is his youngest, who is probably the least successful. She's just a law student. We have his son, Christian, who is a mayor on the fast track to higher political aspirations. And we have his youngest son, Evan, who is also a professional ball player. Even though on the surface it looks like the most perfect, most successful family, everybody has their problems, and this movie shows the whole family getting together for 5 days, has some dysfunctional family drama, some comedy ensues, and you also find out that every single one of them, their life is not all that perfect. But can the family get together and make all these bad things seem not so bad? Maybe even fix them, solve the problems? Well, that's what I'm guessing the miracle of Christmas is all about. Wow, did I bring out the cheese on that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty solid.
So, it is a comedy. I really recognized a lot of the comedy in this movie from other movies. This really felt extremely bland as it comes for holiday movies that are supposed to be funny. There was one running joke that I did like.
The sweet potato pie?
No,
that was a running joke.
No, that was a rolling joke, but that's not the one I enjoyed.
All right.
The only one that I seem to laugh is every time the adults do something crazy. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yep. The kids all bring out their cell phones so that they could record it.
Old people.
Every single one of the crazy things they've done, I felt like I've seen in prior movies. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a little bit of Christmas Story, just all mismatch of things I've already seen. Yeah. What did you feel?
I mean, I agree with you that it's very formulaic.
Yeah.
You know, it's the dysfunctional relationships with family, and you didn't mention this is also the return of Monique as Aunt May. She is the new kind of matriarch of the family.
Yep.
Danny Glover's sister-in-law.
Yep.
And she's there just controlling things while also creating chaos. And she's kind of all over the place with that. I like this movie. It's grounded in the memory of Grace, who passed away.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of craziness that goes on around here, kind of weird storylines that you'll recognize, but it is kind of bittersweet. It does ground itself in, but remember, Ma's not here. Yeah. Remember, my wife's not here. This would all be, she would know how to handle this. Yeah. I don't. I kind of like that. There was some scenes in here. There was a little dance party scene in the living room that I enjoyed. I like watching Danny Glover dance. Thing is, I like this cast. I like a lot of the people. I like Omar Epps. J.B. Smoove always gets me laughing because he's just an idiot.
Yeah.
I like Gabrielle Union. I like Danny Glover a lot. There's a lot of people. Even John Michael Higgins, who plays Christian's political advisor. He's a total idiot. And I love John Michael Higgins.
As far as comedians go, I really did like Monique, who played Aunt May.
Yeah, she was good.
Her jokes came off to me as feeling genuine.
It felt like they just let her go on set.
They let her go, and it really felt... I could feel the comedy coming, where everybody else, it really felt like, oh, this was scripted. The whole scene
you
on
see
the roof where you know he's going to fall off. It's like...
you see even in the outtakes that they were just kind of letting her go.
Yeah.
And you can see she's natural. She's a comedian. That's what she is. And she's a really good actress. Everything about this movie is really tropey, right down to the fact that the house that they live is on Willow Lane. Like, you couldn't come up with a more generic movie street name for a house.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, this movie worked for me.
Really?
I actually really enjoyed it. I liked that there was a bit of sweetness to it. I liked the chemistry between everybody. Like, I believed the chemistry between the family members and the issues between them.
You had that side story where Rachel is trying to relive, trying to let other people in, and the neighbor next door that kind of invited someone else for prom. And
they had a history.
That was a history. It was interesting. I just felt like getting to that point was all, I've seen this scene in other movies.
Absolutely.
I've seen it in every single scene except for We're the Kids. And I was like, well, they couldn't do that in past movies because, you just didn't have the cell phone technology for that joke to happen.
I recognize that this movie's completely formulaic, but for me it worked. I was having a good time. I was laughing.
Yeah.
If you take Monique out of this movie, I think this drops considerably for me.
I think you're right.
You lose a lot. Then it really becomes just scenes that you've seen in the previous movie. I think she really helped to kind of put the bow on this. Ultimately, I enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
You really enjoy it.
I had fun.
Well, I'm glad
I
for you.
enjoy a good holiday movie.
You know what? There's a lot of people in the theater that was laughing and enjoying themselves. I would like to picture you in that crowd.
I was. My wife and I were there. She had tears rolling in a couple of moments.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The emotion got her a couple of times.
You guys are awesome.
Laughing. Oh, yeah, it was a good time.
Meanwhile, Mike, just being a fuddy-duddy, doing this.
Just grumpy cat face.
I give it a 2.5. I thought it was... It passes the time. If you really need your Christmas fix, go ahead. It's the only Christmas movie out right now, so go for it.
Sure.
Otherwise, there's a bunch of other Christmas movies coming down the line.
Because it's almost Christmas.
It's almost Christmas.
I like what they did. All right, the next movie we have on the marquee is kind of the big movie for the week. It is a movie from director Denis Villeneuve. It is Arrival. And Arrival is 12 mysterious spacecraft have touched down across the globe. And we're not quite sure what's going on. And so you have Amy Adams, who is a linguist, a master linguist. She is brought in by the military. Colonel Weber, played by Forrest Whitaker, just amazing. He brings her in along with a theoretical physicist played by Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
The two of them are tasked with finding a way to find out whatever is inside these spacecraft, what they want, how do we communicate with them. And they are brought up into this craft. They are met with these aliens that are like nothing you've seen before in movies for aliens. It's not what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
And they are tasked with trying to find a way to communicate with this species that does not communicate with us. And it's a really interesting take on... there's a lot of interesting scenes.
It's very difficult.
She breaks down language and how to interpret language and how to create language. I thought that was really interesting. Like, either you're going to love that or you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
You're either going to be bored by that part of it or you're going to be completely fascinated with, there's no landmark for anything.
I think it's very hard to describe this movie without it sounding like it's boring.
Right.
I mean, linguistics. Not people are like, oh, that's the roller coaster of my age. It sounds dull. But if you're watching this, it's extremely smart. How do you communicate with something that has never been on Earth? Just because we communicate with sound and visual effects doesn't mean other things from other dimensions or planets or whatever does the same. So how do you communicate with something that just through evolution just is totally different than you.
Well, and the way they communicate, these aliens communicate, is really interesting. You see in the trailer that they form these circular designs out of like this.
It's like a Rorschach.
It almost is like those, those things you'd have when you were a kid with graphite in them, and you like put hair on the guy.
Yeah.
It would be like that, and then all of a sudden it would form this weird thing, and you find out that, oh no, there's this interesting way of communicating and telling a whole story within this one design, and she starts to break it down. She and Jeremy Renner start to break this down and kind of be able to communicate. It really is. Along the way, we open the movie. This is no spoilers. We're trying to talk about this movie because there's some major twists in this movie that we're not going to reveal. So there's parts of it that we can't talk about. But to open the movie, we see that her young daughter, had died from cancer. Mm-hmm. And that, right away, that got me. I mean, if you're a father especially, it hurts to watch that and to imagine it. And we come back to that throughout the movie. And it's like a knife being twisted every time. Mm-hmm. Just like, that's, and there's these moments of seeing her daughter that are so painful.
And these moments are accentuated by a great composer, the Johan Johansson. I really want to bring him up. He worked with Dennis and Sicario also.
Sicario.
And the track for this is just so moving.
Oh, yeah.
And again,
top notch.
It sounds extremely boring that we're talking about composed music and linguistics, but really, this music brings so much emotion out of every scene, and the way it's shot is absolutely beautiful. And it's really hard to make this seem as exciting as it really is, because if you watch it, you will understand. It is a piece of work.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot in this movie. Denis Villeneuve is a great director, and Sicario and previous films have proven he is a master of setting a deliberate pace, a deliberate tone to his film, using a deliberate score. Really, I mean, it can feel like it's boring. It edges on the edge of boring sometimes. Like he takes you to that edge, but it's not. He's not wasting any moments, and he uses his visuals like a master painter. And there's no wasted visuals in his movies. And so you have Amy Adams, who's really the main thing in this movie. Jeremy Renner is very much a second fiddle in this. Forrest Whitaker, everyone else, and it's her trying to look within herself to figure out what these aliens want. And meanwhile, we're on the brink of global war because, of course, we are humans and we fear what we don't understand and we attack what we are afraid of. And so the aliens are basically trying to give information, and all we're about is, are they going to attack us? Do we attack them? And this is where one of my problems in the movie comes up.
Okay.
Michael Stahlberg plays an FBI agent. I love Michael Stahlberg. I think he's one of our great character actors out there. Guys in movies all the time, and I love him. His character in this movie was a paint-by-the-numbers character in a movie that was anything but paint by the numbers. He was the agent who was like, oh, just give me the answers. I don't have time to listen to this. We're not going to listen. We're just going to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And it was a caricature of the FBI agent who's not going to listen to some broad tell him what to do.
He didn't yell as much as
but he was he was the dismissive agent who, I know better. We're just going to go with this. And it stood out to me as this character does not belong in this movie.
See, I thought the opposite. I agree with you a lot where this was a cookie cutter and it just didn't feel quite right. But after the movie, I was like, wow, you kind of needed that one guy to kind of ground everything, because this movie is about exploration and learning new things, and it sounds boring as it's coming out of my mouth. I feel bad I can't make this seem more exciting than it really is, but he was that guy that was the voice of everyone else. Not everybody could be on the same plane as what these researchers were.
I think he could have been handled with a little finer detail to him, though, to make his character less flat in this world. It stood out to me like we could have really done something with him.
But with Forrest Whitaker, who they could have made that character really easy. He was the colonel. They could have done a cliche with him.
Right, and that's what I was afraid of.
And he did not do that. As he plays a colonel that, and of course, worked for the military. Everything needs to be hush-hush. He needs to get his team together. But the way Forrest Whitaker plays Colonel Weber, I think, was magnificent. He brought down the voice a little bit, but he never really lost a sense of power.
Right.
You knew he was in control, but he didn't have to bark out orders in order for you to know that he is the guy who's piecing this together.
Absolutely.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength in his performance.
Yeah.
And I like that Jeremy Renner's character could have really gone out there, really, and been the guy who was a chauvinist, or, that's kind of where I was worried upon initial meeting, like, oh, this guy's going to be this guy. And I like that Jeremy Renner was able to pull it back and just be there when they needed him in moments of this movie, and let Amy Adams really take this thing and run with it. And she was great. And I like that they focus on so many different elements that some of them we can talk about, some we can't. But there's one that I kind of walked away with where, each one of us have experiences, tragedies, things that shape who you are as a person, events in your life that shape who you are, and how each one of us kind of takes those events that shaped you into future events, and how that kind of changes perspective on things. I like that. I like we talk about the theory of time as a flat circle, right? We talk about that. I always love that theory. There's a lot. There's the one thing I love about Denis Villeneuve, and I loved him in Sicario, is he's really good at taking you to unknown places that are kind of scary, kind of weird, but you never really feel lost. Yeah. I mean, he takes you into this ship, and I won't get into what you think about this ship and the aliens as they are, but it all felt really real to me. As they're going up into the ship, that great scene that, like nothing you'd seen before. It's tough to make aliens and a ship and things
seem fresh or new anymore.
Fresh, exactly. Yeah. What did you think about, the design of the aliens, the ship?
I loved it. It was very simple, extremely simple.
Yeah. That's been a complaint I've heard, is it's kind of basic.
No, because
it doesn't need to be all crazy.
It didn't need to be complex, because I think complex would have taken away from the main story, and that's why we love this movie, and unfortunately, I really want to tell everybody, and I can't.
I have so much I want to talk about in the last third of this movie. I can't do it.
I really want to tell everybody. I did vocally say "wow" when I figured it out. I just was.
We get pieces to a puzzle throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And at the end, you realize how many pieces you were handed at the start.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is definitely a movie that is a rewatcher.
Yeah.
To put everything together again.
Put everything together again, or just to watch some great acting or great score. I would be extremely surprised if this isn't nominated for a few things in the Oscars.
Villeneuve gets nominated pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I believe he was nominated for Best Score for Sicario as well. I think Amy Adams will get something out of this.
Yeah.
Visuals. Really, really solid. So the aliens, we haven't even talked about them. So the aliens... Abbott and Costello is their names. That's the names they're given. They have a really interesting look. They basically look like a hand.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
They look like Thing. Kind of. The two of them. And they communicate. They have, they spit out this. It almost looks like ink at first.
Yeah.
Turns into this design you see in the trailers. Really interesting. Really cool design.
This is one thing I could definitely say with this movie is it's original. People who are a fan of sci-fi, in the end, they're going to rethink a few things about time and space and communication, definitely.
Yes.
And
how we treat each other.
This
movie really hits at a great time.
Yes, it did. And
how do we treat when the globe is under attack? Yeah. And it's not. What I like is I am done with punch the alien in the face sci-fi movies.
I've been done with that for many years.
And so a smart sci-fi movie, I've been waiting for one for a while.
This is probably the smartest one.
You've had Interstellar. That was one recently that tried to go away from it was a sci-fi based in science more than fantasy.
But there was still...
Gravity, another one. These are kind of and I think they've been building towards this.
And The Martian also, in a way. But with all those movies, I felt like they did take a sensationalism at times for artistic expression, where Arrival, I never really thought that. I never said, wow, they went over the top on that just to grab the audience in a cliche way. This one was smart all the way through. it really blew me away. I mean,
I have a feeling that we're going to be able to talk more about this at the end of the year.
Yeah.
At the beginning of next year, as we're looking back and we're talking about Oscars and things like that.
We could tell everybody that Bruce Willis died.
I have a feeling we'll get to talk a little bit more about this, but there's a reason that we're just going on and on about this. We both really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What did you end up giving this movie?
I always go first.
No, I just went first.
Okay. I gave it a 5. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. Deadpool and this are right
That's the
up
list.
there. Well, there's other ones, but this one's sticking out, and I will not forget this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, I teeter between, if I could split hairs, I give it a 4.75. I teeter between the two. So ultimately, if it's not a 5, it's not a 5 to me. If I can't give it a 5, I can't give it a 5. So I give it a 4.5. Michael Stahlberg's character really bothers me. It didn't need to be written that way. Otherwise, it is a tremendous movie. It is one of the best movies made this year. It's one of the smartest movies. You have to go see it, and then go see it again.
One of the smartest sci-fis I've seen. I think as far as intellectually telling a story, it beats out all the one-a-year intelligent sci-fi movies.
Right.
It beats out Interstellar, it beats out The Martian, beats out Gravity. I think this should be the new bar that everybody shoots for, because if I'm only going to get one smart sci-fi movie a year, I want it to be like this, or come close to this every year. Make me think, make me feel wonder, make me just be amazed.
Exactly.
I want to say wow every year.
I like that. You can't argue with that. You're not going to get that with Independence Day sequels.
No, you will not.
Not get anywhere close to it. All right, that's all we have on the marquee this week, but we have time to throw back. We're throwing all the way back to 1951.
Yeah, we are.
That's something like 65 years ago.
That's good with numbers.
I just did that in my head.
Yeah, good.
Subtraction. Nailed it. 1951, a movie came out, a sci-fi movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, from director Robert Wise. The Day the Earth Stood Still is aliens show up.
Yeah.
Your flying saucer shows up.
Yep.
You have a guy, an alien-ish, human-looking alien comes walking out of the ship, and he is holding a device. Shoot him instantly because we're afraid of him. But he obviously means trouble, so we shoot him. And then this great-looking robot comes walking out and stands there very still and starts cleaning house on people, just making them disappear.
Yep.
And the movie is basically the aliens want to show us what peace is. Help us with peace. We're too dumb and afraid to understand it.
Yeah.
It is a really, I think it's almost forgotten how great this movie is. Like, I remember watching this a long time ago.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There's since been a remake with Keanu Reeves that was terrible. Rewatching this, I was blown away by how well it held up for me.
Yeah.
So much of it held up. The effects were really good for 1951. The spaceship.
I actually read about the effects. It was
pretty cool how they did the door and everything.
Yeah, they used a putty so that you couldn't see the lines, and then when it opens
reversed
up,
it.
that was smart. That was great thinking.
Great effects. Really great acting. I mean, Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal are kind of the main. Michael Rennie is Klaatu, the alien. And he's just kind of out on the town for a good chunk of this movie, hanging out with her kid. And, just, hey, I'm going to be an alien.
And I like how he's not the good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just an alien that has something to...
And he plays it interestingly.
He does.
Like, he really doesn't play it monotone like you'd expect. Yeah. But there's something not quite right about him.
It's off, but it's not menacing, but it's not friendly.
Right.
It's done very well. And I think for 1951, this was actually a pretty smart movie also.
This was, I mean, at a time when these, flying saucer movies, quote unquote, were coming out pretty regularly, and most of them were pretty terrible. They were, at best, B-level movies. Yeah. A lot of late-night movies.
It was about
this is kind of the standard bearer of its time. This is what a science fiction movie could be, a smart one, where we're not just shooting aliens and this and that, we're not punching aliens in the face. It looked great, and again, the score for this movie, the soundtrack, the great Bernard Herrmann. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock's right-hand man gets his theremin out, and sets a haunting score to this movie.
One of the things that I love the most out of this movie, and this really doesn't have, it just was a realization when the secret word to stop Gort from destroying the world was Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Yep.
Which Ash from Army of Darkness tries to say, and then he forgets Necto and says necktie, and he, I said the words. I'm like, wow, that is so cool that Sam Raimi took those, and both of them are to save the world.
George Lucas also stole it.
George Lucas did too?
Absolutely.
When?
So the skiff guards on Jabba's skiff, when they're about to throw Luke and Han and Chewie into the Rancor,
yeah.
One of the guards' name was Klaatu, the other's name was Barada Nikto.
Oh, wow.
I remember this as I was a kid because I had those figures.
You had the toys.
Klaatu, I didn't know it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I realized it years ago, but yeah, George Lucas borrowed from another classic.
I didn't realize it until I watched this movie again because just like you, I haven't seen this movie in forever. And, I probably didn't put two and two together when I heard Ash say it.
Sure.
So I watched it, I'm like, wait a minute. That's how you stop the book from the dead.
You also stopped Gort. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, or if it has been 65 years since you saw it, first off, welcome to all of our septuagenarians out there and octogenarians. But go find that one. Don't watch the 2008 version.
No.
That's just hot garbage.
Yeah, and I did
watch
that.
good movies.
That was the most recent one I've seen,
Yeah.
and that made me think, maybe I'll never watch either one ever again. If you've seen the Keanu Reeves one, throw that out and go out.
This is good.
Yeah,
this is quality filmmaking. So,
quality.
Yeah, that is our throwback. Let's take a look ahead at what will be coming out in theaters the weekend of November 23rd. That's Thanksgiving weekend, we call it. We have 4 movies that will be...
What do other people call it?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what they call it in Canada.
Boxing Day.
Sure,
I don't know.
that's the easy one, right? Everyone knows that one. First movie is Moana. Moana, the new Disney Pixar movie, the voice of The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I've been looking forward to that. They got an awesome standee over at the Palace
They
Theater
do.
where you can stand there
Get
next
right
to
in
the
there.
character and you're
It's
in a
a
wave.
tight fit to get in there, though. I
yeah.
just about took that whole cardboard thing down one day.
Well, you got to stop drinking before that.
Well, that's true. But they serve such lovely beverages there. The second one is Rules. Rules Don't Apply. The return of Warren Beatty as Howard Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
And a young actress that he is wooing. The kind of true story of Howard Hughes. There's a lot of elements.
I feel like there was one that was exactly like this, way too recent, done extremely well.
The Aviator?
The Aviator. I love that movie. It's so
movie.
good. And I just recently watched it.
Still holds up. Good movie. The third movie we have on the marquee that week will be Allied with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. They are a married couple in World War II who are in love, and then it's dropped in his ear that his wife is a spy for the other side. You either have to get her, either bust her or kill her, one or the other. And so then, is she or isn't she? A lot of things go on. 2 really good actors.
Yeah.
Really interested in that.
That looks interesting. It really does.
And finally, your next Christmas movie of the year, Bad Santa 2. The return of Billy Bob Thornton as the nominal Bad Santa.
This has potential to be extremely bad or, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could be fun or it could be a train wreck.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I have to admit, I did like the first one.
I did too. I enjoyed it.
But that was a while ago. Yeah.
I did not expect this to be made.
No.
But here it is, and we've got it. So those are the movies that will be coming out November 23rd. Before we leave you, of course, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace. You are incredible, and we thank you for sponsoring our show. If you want to go watch Arrival, go sit in a Dream Lounger at The Palace. We highly recommend it. If you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter. Search for @RealReviewsTV. Like us, follow us. It's a good time. You can
Chit-chat with us.
Sure.
Yeah,
you can find a ton of previous episodes from us on our YouTube channel, Real Reviews KSUN, or ksun.tv.
Some people have 4 days off.
Yeah?
4 days. You could probably watch... Yeah, you could watch every single one of our episodes.
Do it. 135 episodes. Hammer them in. Why not? But until next week, we'll be talking about Bleed for This, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, the worst title of the year.
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and The Edge of 17. That's all next week. But until then, I'm Jamison.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.